Hey everyone, I'm Home DIY Dan. I'm remodeling my pantry right now, but I'm going to show you guys how to tile your floor. Let's go. Okay, so after I took the back wall out, I noticed that the tile wasn't exactly even and there was a bit of mortar hanging out the bottom. So I had to grind that down so I could get a nice flat surface to make sure the tiles butt up nicely against it. After you're done, make sure the floor is nice and clean. After that's done, I'm going to be measuring the tile and then making marks along the floor on where the new tile is going to go so that it's even with the last line of tile. So I'm marking on the floor and then I'm going to take a straight edge, line it up with the marks, and then just mark a nice straight line along the floor so I can see where that row of tile is going to go. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side, measure the tile and mark along the floor where I want that row of tile to go, and then line it up with a straight edge and draw a line. Then marked along the back where I want the edge of the tile to be on the back row and drew a line there as well. Now since we're just making straight cuts on the tile, we're just using a simple tile cutter. Score it once and then put it out in the middle and push and you'll get a nice even break. Now we're going to be mixing up the mortar. I needed 3 quarts of water to 1 bag of mortar, and then just pour the mortar in, mix it up until it's like a nice pudding like consistency, and then you're going to let it sit 5 minutes and mix it up again. Alright, so we've let it sit for 5 minutes. Now we're just mixing it up again, making sure it's nice and consistent and everything's scraped up off the bottom and sides. It's just to wipe the floor with a damp sponge. You don't want it too wet, but just enough so that it gets up all the dust and dirt that's on the floor. Now we're going to be putting down the mortar. Just get a big scoop of it, put it down, and then spread it out with the trowel, and then use the notched grooves on the other side of the trowel to get it nice and even and spread out along that line. So you want it to make sure that it covers every area within that line. You don't want to put too much down because then it'll start to harden before you can get the tile down. And I'm using quick set, which hardens in 3 hours. Alright, now we're going to take that tile that we cut and we're going to line it up and put some tile spacers in, and then we're going to push down really hard to get it to set into that mortar. Once you make sure that first one is nice and lined up, add the tile spacers in the second one and just keep going. Now we're going to do the same thing with this side we did the other. Wipe it down real well, make sure you get all the dust and any dirt that's left on the ground, and then put the mortar down and start laying the tile. Remember, you just want to make sure that it's up to that line that you drew, because anything over that, it could dry out quickly before that tile gets laid in the middle. So just spread it out so it's nice and even and it covers that whole area where you're going to put tile down. Same thing here, you're going to drop the tile, make sure it's lined up with the last one, put the tile spacers in there so you got a nice grout joint, and just keep moving down the line. Same thing for the middle sections. Only put down as much mortar as you can do within a couple minutes. So you don't want to mortar the whole thing, but I did about 4 tiles at a time. That way I can get it nice and spread out, and then put the tiles down and move on to the next area. So I let the mortar set for about 3 hours, and then I mixed up the grout to the specifications on the bag. The grout's going to be a little bit drier, and you want it to be drier than the mortar was. So you're just going to push really hard into those gaps and just keep spreading it around until you get all the grout lines filled in. Once you've got an area completed, just start lightly wiping away. I like to do the wipe and turn of the sponge. So wipe, turn, and then wipe again. It helps pick up more than just wiping all over. After you're done grouting, you're going to have this white haze across all the tile. You want to use a fairly damp but pretty dry rag to wipe, and this is wiping up that haze and smoothing out the grout. After the grout sets for about 2 hours, you're going to come back through and do the same thing and wipe up all the residue that's left. Here we go. We got a nice tiled floor. Time to move on to the next part of this project. If you guys like projects like this, and you want to see what's happening with this, hit that subscribe button and see all the cool videos we've got coming up next.